Welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. Are you trying to master the game of life without success? There are secrets and strategies to living your best life. We'll share some of them with you on today's show. Take advantage of this series to become an expert at relationships. All relationships. It's time to live the life that you deserve to live. Now, here's your host, Sandra Reich.
Hi, welcome back to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. It is December 10th. We are going slowly but surely into the holiday season, and it's such a wonderful time of year, and yet it's also a time of year that people have so much stress. We're getting a lot of calls at the clinic. Again, people put a lot of expectations on the holidays. They expect great family moments. People don't always come through. There's anxiety goes on the increase, and sometimes depression goes on the increase. And one of the things that starts to go awry for people whenever they're stressed is sleep. And sleep's a huge topic. So today, it's all about your sleep. And with me, I have, as I like to call her, the beautiful, incomparable psychotherapist, co-director of anxietyvideos.com, Canadian Jiu-Jitsu champion, just for the record, and just basically therapist extraordinaire, Georgia Dow. Welcome to the show, Georgia.
Thank you so much for having me back, Sandra. I'm so excited to deal with this, and sleep is such a great topic, so I'm so happy I'm going to get to talk to you about it.
Well, you know, it's funny because you and I, we started the Anxiety Videos company, and the idea originally was to just do some videos on anxiety, basically a treatment plan for clients who don't want to come through the door. So why am I mentioning that? I'm saying as soon as we got to session 2, we suddenly realized we had to do a specialty series. And why that came up is we started getting feedback from people like, we love the DVDs, it's great, but you got to talk to us about sleep. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had an event and people were coming up to us like saying this sleep problem and that sleep problem. I'm sure, you know, you see tons of clients. You were at the event. Do you find that that's a very common issue for people?
I think that it is. I think that even for myself, sleep is a huge factor in my own health, how I feel, and it's unfortunately one of those habits that we often learn maladaptive ways to behave really, really young, and then we just carry on these habits and have really poor sleep hygiene, and after a while it creeps up on you. So I'm happy that we went through different techniques and tools, and today we're going to get to talk and share some tools and techniques and tips so that you at home can also sleep better.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about what sleep does for you, but before that, I always like to personalize a bit. You know, I like sharing, and I want to ask you a personal question. When you don't, and then I'm perfectly willing to answer the same question.
Okay, good. How personal would this question be?
Exactly. What do you like when you don't sleep? What happens to you when you don't sleep?
Oh, well, you know what? The first day I feel just slightly fuzzy. I might want to eat more. I'm sluggish through my day, and I'm not feeling at my best. If I've gone through 2 nights of not getting good sleep, now I'm starting to be a little bit more irritable. I might snap a little bit more at other people, and I feel uneasy in my skin. Now, for me, if I go more than 4 to 5 days getting a poor set of sleep, I start to get a little bit more paranoid, a little bit more aggressive, and I'm not feeling happy anymore. And then slowly that will lead into ruining my sense of self and my feeling of being at ease with the world that's around me. And that's when it can be really detrimental. And so we go through that thing of mommy brain, which I had a child with colic, and I had exceptionally strong mommy brain, so much so that I can say that I was quite paranoid, and I couldn't even do basic math. I couldn't even count, up by 2s with basic math. And so I was also going through schooling, and it made it exceptionally difficult to be able to deal with that. And most of that was my own issues with being able to go to sleep and having the ease with that. What happens to you when you don't sleep?
You know, it's interesting because my personality type goes and goes and goes. So even if I'm tired, I don't tend to notice it.
Yes. But which is a dangerous thing.
Very dangerous. I mean, my brain knows I didn't sleep much, and I don't like that because I am a fan of sleep. I'm a big believer in what we're going to talk about.
I'm a fan of sleep as well.
I'm always, I'm getting up there, and I love when people tell me I look younger than my age. And I all kidding aside, there is a lot of research that shows that sleeping keeps you looking young. So I do like that. But what happens to me, which is interesting, is I'm a pretty upbeat, happy-go-lucky girl. I mean, we work together. I think
very much so.
You can
have a lot
agree
of
on
fun
that.
together.
I do.
Yeah.
And I find that after the first 24 hours, the world starts to look dark to me. And by 48 hours, I almost feel like anything I was ever happy about is not so great.
Right.
My husband doesn't look as good. The children don't look as good.
What about chocolate?
Chocolate looks good.
Chocolate still is good.
Yeah, which is another thing. There's a lot. We're going to talk about that.
Yes.
There's research on people who don't sleep eat more.
Right.
So chocolate looks good. But I start to feel feelings of depression. And it's interesting because I'm not prone to depression. And we work with so many depressed clients. So we do talk about these basic things they have to do right off the bat. And sleep is one of them. So that's what happens to me, and I've never gone as far as you, 3 or 4 days. I've heard that people can go into psychosis after 4 or 5 days. That's a bit of how brainwashing works.
It is. And actually it works for brainwashing as well. And
because you're so vulnerable.
Right. And if you're having really bad sleep after 2 weeks, you could be considered actually like that you are fully in a feeling of psychosis, but it's just sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
And people that they've done studies with people that are dealing with sleep deprivation versus being high and being drunk and done driving tests on a restricted course. And the person that performed the worst, Sandra, the person that was dealing with sleep deprivation.
Wow. Well, we know that's a serious issue on the road. And with the holiday season upon us, I'm really glad we're doing this show. So, maybe one person will listen and consider stopping on the side of the road when you can't keep your eyes open. I mean, that's really an important point, Georgia. I remember when we were filming the DVDs, we really started with the question of what sleep does for you. And you went through such a beautiful explanation. Would you be so kind?
Sure. Sleep we need for many different factors. One of them is that at night, it's when our brain sorts out the important events of our day and it decides what is it going to store and what is it going to get rid of. So I liken it to our brain doing its own laundry. So it's like throwing out the laundry and then we go through it and we put the laundry in the proper set of drawers. And that's why you get kind of fuzzy brained and you might not be able to say the right word and it's harder to deal with conflict and difficulties, doing also with tests and learning and memories. So this is when we consolidate memories and we also get rid of memories that are not essential for our own survival. And so that's really important. But what we do not often talk about is this is also the time when we repair cellularly and molecularly, and also we deal with our bone density and our muscular strength. We're actually doing a lot of our repair work because during the day we're moving. And so at night, that's when we're going into our healing phase. And this is also for our white blood cells. We're also healing and repairing. We're battling things that we need to battle. And this is when we need that time. And so we also do most of our growth during that time. We deal with most cuts are getting repaired. And that's why it makes you look and feel younger. You actually are healing up and dealing with it.
Yay.
Plus, we've now done studies where we have found out that the plaque that happens in our brain, the beta amyloid, which becomes plaque in our brain that leads to things such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, also gets flushed through our system and cleaned at night. So it's all of your brain's natural refuse also needs to be cleansed out, and that happens while we sleep.
Wow, great explanation. So obviously where we're going to go now, we'll start a little bit, then we'll have to take a break, is something you mentioned before, which is sleep hygiene. That's a very psychological word. And when I first heard it, it sounded weird. Hygiene, I think of cleanliness. It actually is a way of saying there's like a protocol to sleep. And the quality of your sleep is going to be dependent on your habits. So we're definitely going to want to go through how to get all those amazing things you talked about, because it's not as simple as putting your head down, although that's great. If you're, for example, like to watch a lot of, I'm afraid I'm guilty of this, a lot of high intensity adrenaline shows.
I never do that.
Oh.
I only listen to very calm, melodic.
I wish you could see her face. She's having a very big smile because, is that the truth, Georgia?
No. I watch action-packed shows.
We don't always follow our own protocols, but if you're having trouble sleeping, you need to. And we're going to talk a little bit about computers, electronics, things you need to do before sleep, things you need to avoid, things that can get you into trouble, some herbal medications, good, bad. These are big questions when we come back from the break. So this is Straight Talk with Sandra Reich.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Ladies, how about a luxurious weekend while learning to empower yourself? Join Straight Talk's Sandra Reich January 29th at a gorgeous spa in Quebec for 3 days and 2 nights of empowerment, growth, and decadence. Delicious food, powerful learning, and much more. Life 2.0 The Retreat. Master how to command respect in your relationships. Learn about yourself and what is blocking you from living your best life. Meet other like-minded women and join in on the retreat that sells out year after year. Isn't it time you chose you? Call us at 514-796-4357. That's 514-796-4357. Don't miss your chance to change your life and relationships forever.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reich, on her famous couple retreats and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com. Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reich. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety video therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you choose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
A fresh look at today's health. Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reich.
Well, we're back with such an exciting topic and such an important one because it may sound strange to say it's exciting. What's exciting about sleep? But I think we talked about before that having good sleep will allow you to have a better life. And when this whole Straight Talk with Sandra Reich thing came up, it was all about living your best life. And unfortunately, and I do say unfortunately because I know my personality type as a child, I didn't want to sleep because I had a little bit of that fear of missing out syndrome. I would love to stay up and get more work done and see what's going on. But actually sleep allows you to enjoy your life more. So we're going to go through the sleep hygiene now. Before we do, we have an email from Jeanette, and she's actually asking a question that has exactly to do with sleep hygiene. She again, sleep hygiene is the techniques you use to get a good night's sleep or what to do if you can't sleep. So Jeanette says that she's been told that when she can't sleep, she should get out of bed, but she doesn't understand why that would be a good thing to do. And Georgia, that's such a common question, and I know this technique, and it feels very counterintuitive to get out of bed when you can't sleep. So I'm going to start this one off. I'm sure you're going to have some things to say about this as well. So here's the thing. As therapists, Georgia and I work with, people with anxiety, and it comes up all the time that the brain is very associative. Let me give you an example. You're driving on your local highway and your car breaks down, and people are looking at you. It's very uncomfortable. The car eventually gets towed off. every time you go on that highway again, you have a little flashback of that terrible moment. The same thing is true about the brain when it goes to sleep. If you go into your bedroom and you have good sleep, you associate your bedroom as a calm and peaceful place. But if you're tossing and turning in your bed, you start to associate your bedroom with
Suffering.
So the reason the protocol says that if you can't sleep to get out of bed for a few moments is the idea is to move to another location and do something quite mundane. Don't start watching what's Homeland, like Georgia and I like to. Okay, that's a little plug for the high adrenaline show. Is you want to do something calm and then return to the bed. Now, Georgia, why is it this works so well for people? Even though I don't want to get out of bed when I can't sleep, I'm cozy. Why does it work?
Well, one is it's not right away when you can't. So this is like if you're tossing and turning, 20 minutes is a good amount of time.
That's
you're suffering. Enough. You don't want to have, bed is supposed to be this calm Zen area. And so what happens is you reassociate to another area. Your brain gets reacclimatized to doing something else. And there's something that must be bothering you, something that you must be feeling. It gets associated to a new area, and then you're working on doing something that you enjoy but is mundane. And that's what helps your brain go, you know what? I'm kind of, like this happened to me every time I'd study, right? I'd get out of bed, I would have to study, and I would fall asleep every single time. So really, I still use that as one of the techniques. I will study medications or do something else that is, mildly entertaining but dry, and then or I'll color or I'll read something that is dull but interesting, and then I'll be able to have a little tea, something calming, and then I'll feel relaxed again, and I'm going back through that circadian cycle. And then you can go back to bed when you're feeling tired, and then bed is the place where I can sleep, not the area that I am tortured and suffered with.
So your brain gets the message that bed is associated with sleep, not suffering, is what you're saying. I can't help but want to jump in here about parenting. This isn't a parenting show, but I can't help but think of the timeouts for children. If you do timeouts, we'll have you back and do a parenting show, and we're doing a parenting series soon on the DVDs.
Very exciting.
But it's one of the common mistakes parents make is that when their kids are punished, they put their kids in the bedroom.
Right.
And we tell them
all their toys are.
Right. Well, that's also a problem. Yeah. But also, it causes anxiety in the child to be in timeout, which that's not to say that we don't believe in timeouts, but the bedroom's not the place for it because we don't want the bedroom to be associated with, again, this temper tantrum. So I want to throw that in. I want people to think of their bedroom as a romantic place.
Yes, can be romantic.
You can be romantic. That's good. We like romantic.
That's allowed.
Yeah, we like that. February 14th is coming soon enough. Okay, romantic's good. We do like to laugh, but also a place of rest.
Yes.
I mean, they even talk about the furnishings of a bedroom being extremely important.
Yes, clutter. And even if you do work in your bedroom, not a good thing. Arguing in your bedroom, not a good thing. This is not the place. This is not the location. You want your area to be calm, serene, kind of zen. Less is more in the bedroom for furnishing.
That's actually really true. And I guess there's so much to say about sleep hygiene. Let's go back and forth a little bit. So you just brought up one. I'm going to throw one at you, is that less is more. So let's talk about electronics, and you're involved in the electronics field. So, and both of us are fans of electronics, like TV. We love our TV and we love our computers. So, but yet we as therapists tell people to get the electronics out of the bedroom. Are we just hypocrites?
Slightly, I am.
Yeah. But what's the problem? Why? I like electronics. Where is there an issue?
Right. Well, it's unfortunately, one is it's the wrong light waves. So yellow light from the sun helps us build up our levels of melatonin, which helps us go to sleep more easily. Blue light helps us build up our histamine, which wakes us up.
And the electronics produce blue light.
Right. And it's that flickering and flashing, instant gratification. And most games, most websites are also sending out that instant gratification. It's exciting. They get people to go onto the websites by making things really interesting. And so there's a lot of reasons why tech is not good for the bedroom. truly, you shouldn't even watch TV in the bedroom. Now, once in a while, of course, that's fine, but it shouldn't be your soothing tool to put you to sleep.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because, we're joking about being hypocrites, but the truth of the matter is if you suddenly started to have a serious sleep problem,
yes,
I'm assuming, like myself, it would be the first thing you would take out of the bedroom. Because if you're managing, at the clinic, we say if it's not broken, don't fix it. If things are going great, you're having great sleep, keep with your plan.
Exactly.
Okay, we're not on a mission to say that this is the only way to go. We're giving the latest research.
Which is a beautiful thing for you to say, because I think that people hear something and sometimes can feel very anxious and think that they have to follow it by the letter.
No.
If it's working for you,
we're good.
Wonderful. Keep doing that. If it's not, try out different techniques. Maybe not all of these techniques will work for you. Maybe take the ones that do work and try out the others. And if they don't work, that's fine.
I'll also add on to your sleep hygiene point, because it's interesting. We talk a lot about relationships on Straight Talk, and actually there's research that shows even for your romantic relationship, TV's in the bedroom, not always so conducive to a romantic relationship.
There's less chance that you will be cuddling.
Yeah.
If you're watching TV, you're busy dealing with something else. And so that also gives you some space. Some people also feel the same way about having your kids sleep every night with you or having the dog in the bed. These are different things that can interfere with intimate cuddling time or just spending time talking.
Okay, so that's our first sleep hygiene technique. I'll repeat it back to you guys, is just be careful about technology in the bedroom. It will stimulate your brain, produce histamine, and the blue light will actually wake you up. So it's really something we want to watch in terms of tip number 1.
Yes, and there are applications that you can get to make your phone or your tech. If you have to, you can choose to use something that will help give more of a yellow coloring to that. And so there are some things if you must, but better not to.
All right. So we're moving on to some more sleep hygiene.
Sure. So what would be another set of sleep hygiene?
Well, another one that I find very helpful, comes up for people often, is that the clock is quite dangerous.
Yes.
I used to wake up or not be sleeping and look at the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd literally be counting how many hours are left. And that's a sure way to get stressed out. So turning the clock away, it's so funny because, again, I'm going to bring up my age, but this is TMI for sure, but I have to go to the bathroom more often, as many women do as we get older. Sorry. That's just true. And pregnant women too. And if I go to the bathroom, if I look at the clock and see there's very little time left, that will stress me out. So I just don't look at the clock. And I remember you were saying on the DVD that there's actually some research on keeping your eyes closed, because and this sounds strange, I literally walk to the bathroom with my eyes sort of 3/4 closed, not looking at the clock or checking if daylight's coming. And it seems to work very well for me.
I love that. I would be worried about missing the toilet, but if it works for you, that is fabulous. But the lovely thing is that if you turn out, this is hard. The first time that I did this, I found great difficulty in it, but you turn your clock around and move it so that you cannot turn it back around. So I do the same thing with my phone, my cellular phone, is that I flip it upside down. It doesn't buzz, it doesn't beep, it doesn't do anything. And so I would have to physically choose to look at it and press a button with the time. And that's using higher brain functioning.
Yeah.
And while you're going through your sleep cycles, you are always kind of staying in the alpha or theta waves. You want to stick with that. Once you start to do math and you're doing calculations, then you are using your wakeful mind, and then it's going to be much more difficult to go back through your sleep stages. And so that's why it works so lovely, is that, you'll think, I used to think, oh, it's 3:30, this is my witching hour, this is the time that always deals with it. Or the one of, oh my goodness, I only have 3 more hours left to sleep.
Yeah, well, you bring up a point also, because if you notice it's 3:30, then people will tell me I wake up at 3:30 in the nose every time, because the brain is starting to associate again. Georgia, we have a call. Gabriel from New York is on hold. So, hi, Gabriel. Welcome to Straight Talk.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
How's your sleep?
I hear that exercise is, really important for sleep hygiene. But I find that when I exercise, the nights that I do exercise, I have a hard time falling asleep.
So one question. Do you exercise right before bed?
Maybe about an hour before bed. It's the only time I have during the day.
So you want to make sure that if you're exercising, especially if it's high impact, that you're doing it 2 hours or more before you're going to sleep, which will help you. So that will help your body reduce all kinds of...
Why is that, Georgia?
Well, your body's reducing adrenaline. It's going through it. It's getting the happy endorphins from after exercise. But also know that your body is probably sore. Are you a little bit achy after you've done your exercise?
Definitely.
Okay. And so now you also want to let your body soothe. So you've revved your system up. And now you're going to need to go through the soothing process of letting your body calm down. And so sometimes people exercise and then they try to go straight to sleep. And that becomes very difficult. So you want to give yourself 2 hours. And before you go to bed, you want to have a nice routine of letting your muscles relax. So maybe have the shower or a bath and, do your breathing techniques, which we love to do.
Meditation is great.
Meditation is great. This helps release more endorphins and tells your body to start its cellular repair on your muscles. That's what building muscles are. You're actually tearing the small fibers and then they rebuild stronger and better than they were before. And so you want to make sure that you give your body that healing plus hydration. If you're exercising, your body needs to drink that water and you'll feel more achy if you don't.
All right, that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your call. So it's interesting, Georgia, you brought up here this shower business. And it's funny, we just got an email from Bobby asking when's the right time to take a hot shower. Is it right before bed? So we got to take a break in a minute. But very quickly, the hot shower situation is interesting, too, because although hot showers are so great for sleeping, they're not great right before bed. And let me explain why. We actually get tired as our bodies cool down.
What does that stimulate? Why do we get more tired when our bodies slow down? Is it similar to like the cave effect of at night there's less sun?
Yes.
And we kind of get cooler, and so that's kind of like our natural signal of, I guess it's time to sleep.
Exactly. So it goes back to adaptive times. And what we know to be true is that when the body is very warm, you won't sleep. So although a hot shower is great, you got to give yourself some time. So coming back to our call, poor guy now has to figure out time for exercise and a shower and give him some time before he goes to sleep. So we have another caller, but we got to take a break. So we'll ask Andrea to hold on. We'll be right back with Straight Talk with Sandra Reich.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reich, on her famous couple retreats and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Ladies, how about a luxurious weekend while learning to empower yourself? Join Straight Talk's Sandra Reich January 29th at a gorgeous spa in Quebec for 3 days and 2 nights of empowerment, growth, and decadence. Delicious food, powerful learning, and much more. Life 2.0 The Retreat. Master how to command respect in your relationships. Learn about yourself and what is blocking you from living your best life. Meet other like-minded women and join in on the retreat that sells out year after year. Isn't it time you chose you? Call us at 514-796-4357. That's 514-796-4357. Don't miss your chance to change your life and relationships forever.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reich. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety video therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you choose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
Your life, your health, your network. This is Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reich.
Well, this is turning into be a very interesting topic. We even had a conversation with the engineer on the break, which I definitely want to get to. But Andrea from Montreal has been on the phone, and she's been holding. I hope she hasn't fallen asleep during our sleep talk. Sorry about that. Wait, Andrea. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm still here.
Thank you. Andrea, what can we do for you?
Well, first of all, I wanted to tell you I'm so excited to be speaking to you both because I have all of your videos, and it's a little surreal to be able to ask you my question because I watch you on the videos and I think, if only I could ask them my questions. Thank you.
Do you enjoy the videos?
I did. I'm curious when the next one is coming out.
Oh, that's a good question. We actually spent this week filming a whole bunch.
We did.
And we should have them out in about, the next 2-3 weeks. It'll be up on the website. We're so happy that you're enjoying them. We really care about them. So it's really nice of you to give us that feedback. Thank you so much.
Great. Okay, but that's not my question.
Okay. But thank you anyways.
So I wanted to ask you, I'm very good at falling asleep. I have no problem with that. My issue is staying asleep. So what'll happen is I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll think I hear something, I'll get distracted and then I have such a hard time falling back asleep. Do you have any strategies for that to help?
We sure do.
Yeah, there's some great strategies of how to stay asleep when you've woken up. So the first thing to realize is that it's normal. Everyone wakes up 5 to 6 times a night. And the proof to that, that's okay. You have little ones, which probably also makes it really difficult to stay asleep through the night.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, because you're always listening for them, right? Are they calling out? What are they saying? Are they okay? But everyone wakes up 5 or 6 times a night. But usually you're staying in alpha waves. So you're conscious, but you're still actually asleep. But you can think during that time. And that's when we do the body scan. Am I too hot? Am I too cold? Do I have to go to the washroom? Is my child calling for me? And you get comfortable. Now, during this period of time, and this is what I do myself, it's important, 1, don't look at the clock. 2, keep your eyes closed. 3, make yourself snug and comfortable. And then I think to myself, how lucky I am that I'm snug and comfortable in my bed. And then I do my deep, slow breathing, and I say to myself that I'm just going to stay still for 5 minutes, and then almost every time I fall straight asleep. But you don't want to think about trigger, worry, or what-if questions. So just focus on your breathing.
So, Andrea, you mentioned you have the DVDs. So have you been practicing the paced breathing?
I have. I have to admit, though, when I wake up in the middle of the night, it's not something that I think of directly. So maybe I have to get a little bit better at that.
Well, it might be in your interest because the paced breathing definitely turns on that system in the body that promotes sleep. And I certainly do it, is to go into the breaths. And I never feel like doing it either, so you're not alone with that. But it works. So I would suggest go back to the tapes, review how the paced breathing is done, and definitely use that. And I agree with Georgia. Remind yourself you're safe and snug, and everything's going to be okay. I mean, the truth is, although the body needs sleep, the body will not get into trouble from losing one night's sleep, because that's another fear people have.
That is a good point, Sandra. That is a good point. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, great question.
Thank you. Thank you for your help.
Thanks so much for calling.
All right. I can't wait for the next video. I'll be waiting.
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, and thanks for your beautiful feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Speak soon. Bye-bye. We have another call. Joanne from Quebec is waiting for us. I guess this is a big topic. Hi, Joanne.
Hi. Sandra Reich. I'm really happy to talk to you.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
I'm happy to talk to you, too.
Thanks. My mom and I actually came to one of your empowerment events in March a few years ago.
Oh, my God.
It was really life-altering, so I'm so happy to be speaking to you.
Well, I'm happy to speak to you, too. What's your question, Joanne?
Well, first of all, I need to know. I have a question about sleep. I'm loving this topic, but I really want to know, how do I go about buying these DVDs I'm hearing about? Like, I heard the last caller talk about it. Like, how do I go and buy it? Like, what do I have to do?
Okay, so I see that you're from Quebec, so you have two choices, basically. You can come by the clinic and you can pick up a hard copy. So that's, again, the website for the clinic is helpforanxietydepression.com. But even faster, and the way that most people get the DVDs, is go onto the website, which is anxiety-videos.com. Again, anxiety-videos.com. And the beautiful thing about it is you can have it in 5 minutes. It's a digital download. All of the videos we've done to date are available immediately. I had a woman yesterday in a crisis panic attack. She went on 5 minutes later. She was practicing her strategy. So don't be shy to go there.
That is so great.
Awesome.
Noted. Thank you.
And you said you had a question as well.
Yes, I do. I'm just wondering, I received some very, emotionally disturbing news at the beginning of the week. And coincidentally, I'm thinking, wait a second. So now the last couple of nights I've had trouble sleeping. I can't take my usual naps that I love so much. And then I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, might insomnia be related to is it an emotional thing?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. So getting disturbing news, the problem is sometimes it plays out in our mind over and over again how awful that news is. And it's almost like we think as humans that by thinking about it, we'll somehow be able to find a solution or tell ourselves something that will make ourselves feel better. And unfortunately, that doesn't work. So what I do in that situation is I give myself a mental vacation, and I say, there's no question I don't know if this was a tragedy or what this was, but I tell myself, whatever it is, it will be there in the morning. I personally actually keep a notebook next to my bed. That's true, because things come up for me. And I don't want to be a Pollyanna and just put my head in the sand. And I don't know what your news was, and you can share it or not. That's up to you. But if it's something...
I'd love to, but please go ahead.
Please do, because I can help you even more.
I teach at pre-university, and one of my students came in who desperately wanted to hand in a composition, but her mother passed the day before. Oof. It was, you could imagine, a horrible scene.
Yeah. It's a horrible scene, and in psychology we call that secondary trauma. By you hearing the pain she was in, it's gone into probably your body at this point. So again, it's a heartbreak. I mean, life unfortunately is filled with a lot of these heartbreaks. So I guess your heart is heavy for her.
Yes.
Okay, so I wonder if you would feel comfortable when you're in your bed as you feel that pain to say, this is legitimate pain and valid, but I choose to look at it in the morning.
Yeah. I think that I'll
yeah.
What do you think of that?
Yes, at this point, I think I'll try anything. I'm realizing that it's shaken me that much. I'm desperate at this point. I'll try anything.
Georgia, you had some thoughts.
Well, I love your advice, Sandra, of journaling it out. I think that that's a lovely way to give a place for your pain and your feelings.
Grief. Yeah,
it's grief. If you find it still disturbing, of course, going to see someone is wonderful if you trust and care about them. And I also love and want to emphasize what you said, Sandra, about, it's not the time to solve the problems of the world when your job at night is to sleep. It'll still be in the morning or before you go to bed to work it through and see what is the best way to support someone else and to deal with your own feelings,
of course,
of receiving this news to it.
Yeah.
But
this is what happens a lot to therapists, actually.
Yes. Yeah. There's less distractions at night, right? It's just you and your thoughts alone. And so sometimes I'll even do distraction techniques. If it's something that really bothers me, is really traumatic, I might, do math in my head, or a word game, or think of different things, because I have to remember that this does not mean that these pain and this feeling isn't valid to it, but that it's not now that I will deal with it. You write it down so it has its place. You soothe yourself, maybe with a bath, a tea, conversation with someone that's uplifting, and then at nighttime it's time to sleep, and in the morning is when I will go back to it. It won't be forgotten because it's in my notebook. And so you validated it but also you have to go through the healing period of sleeping.
It's such great advice, Joanne. I just want to add to that is that I think that what Georgia's saying is so important because she also mentioned that it takes time. And I also don't want you to put pressure on yourself. As therapists, we often hear tragedies ourselves, and it's not easy sometimes. I can't always come home and just let it go, to be perfectly honest. Right. And this was a very traumatic story for you. And I think that being kind to yourself about this would be extremely important. It's a tough story, and grief takes time. If you can distract yourself or take a little break and save it for the morning, that would be great. But I do agree with Georgia as well. If that's not working, please don't hesitate to call a professional. Does not mean you have to go into long-term therapy, but sometimes more strategies can be very helpful.
Thank you both. I love the idea. I love knowing that, it is not my job. I love that. What you said, Georgia, that just knowing that it's not my job at the moment, actually, I think really might help me. And additionally, Sandra, what you said about that, I never thought of the word trauma, actually. And I think it was this, what word did you use? The
secondary trauma.
That's, yes. I think you guys are enlightening me very much. I appreciate your advice.
You touched us over here, too. We're a little teary-eyed, so thank you so much for your call. And happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Wow. Bye-bye. What a call, huh?
What a call. Sometimes it's true. There's things that are very heavy that we have to deal with.
Yeah, and I think that, although that's not where we're going, but I can't resist saying that secondary trauma is something, I know you and I socialize, and we even talk about the fact that sometimes people want to tell me a really horrible story, and I actually will ask them not to tell me every detail. Now, in this case, of course, Joanne had to hear it. It was a student. But this is the danger of hearing really rough stories is, unfortunately, your body keeps it, which is why myself, I don't understand the fascination with gory details of trauma in the world. I do it as a living. I certainly don't want to do it when I'm at home.
It's interesting that it's not everyone's trigger. For some people, one thing that may trigger one person may be a different trigger to someone else. And that's why it's really difficult that person that has shared a story with you may not know the effect that it has onto you. So I love that you're aware of the things that you know is too much to carry. And you can be honest and just say, I'm sorry, I can't hear this right now. Because for a lot of people, they think that it's their job to then fix that. And they'll be carrying the worry that someone else has in hopes of fixing them. And it takes a lot of training to be a therapist.
It does.
It's very difficult.
It does. And we learn to be able to protect ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's no shame in being able to say, I can be here for you, but I can't hear every gory detail.
It's strength. It's strength to be able to know what you can carry and what you can't, and you need to be aware of that.
I know someone who mentioned that to me a few years ago. She might be sitting next to me. We got to take a break. We'll be right back with Straight Talk with Sandra Reich.
Opinions, options, answers. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reich. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety video therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you choose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
Ladies, how about a luxurious weekend while learning to empower yourself? Join Straight Talk's Sandra Reich January 29th at a gorgeous spa in Quebec for 3 days and 2 nights of empowerment, growth, and decadence. Delicious food, powerful learning, and much more. Life 2.0 The Retreat. Master how to command respect in your relationships. Learn about yourself and what is blocking you from living your best life. Meet other like-minded women and join in on the retreat that sells out year after year. Isn't it time you chose you? Call us at 514-796-4357. That's 514-796-4357. Don't miss your chance to change your life and relationships forever.
Opinions, options, answers. Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reich.
Wow, sleep is quite the topic. The time is going very fast. I can't thank you enough, Georgia, for being on the show. I'm really enjoying this dialogue, and there is so much to talk about. As usual, I'm going to say that we probably will have a part 2 to this talk. I know on the break some things were coming up.
Yes. Your Sandra Jr. talked about people that do shift work. And this, we know that this, wrecks people's circadian rhythm and puts you all out of whack. And Sandra, I want to ask, because I know that you did shift work. And so what can someone do to try to get the best of their night of sleep if they're busy having to do shift work?
Okay, so our sound engineer talked about being a DJ and having trouble sleeping, and I totally relate. I was a bartender for 22 years, which means I'd get home about 4:30 in the morning, and then you watch TV to calm down, and I'm still a night owl, so I have not completely changed my ways.
So you were going to sleep when the sun was coming up.
That's right. Luckily, though, we still know that although it's always best to get your sleep earlier, that sleep quality can still be very good as long as you're getting enough of it. So there's 2 things you can do. One,
what would be considered enough sleep? Because I think that that's a question that people always ask.
Yeah. Well, the research shows that women need between 7 and 8 hours of sleep, ideally. There's some variance, but generally people who say they're getting by on 3-4 hours very proudly, they're not actually, they're going to pay the price later. They're not paying now, but they'll pay later. That's what the research shows.
And the funny thing is that when they've done tests with most people, and there is one genetic change that some people actually can get enough sleep, but many people believe they're performing just as well on little sleep, but then when they actually went through the data of the performance, they weren't. They just believe that they are, which makes it even worse.
Right. So one strategy is that we put a little less pressure on what time you go to sleep. There's many types of people in the world. But there's another thing you can do if you want to change your sleep habits and you do shift work and you've changed now. Like our engineer is not, I don't think he's DJing anymore, and I'm not bartending anymore, is what you do is you have to get up at the same time in the morning every day, and eventually your body will readjust. Now that's a little hard the first few days because you fall asleep at 4 and you get up at, let's say, 8 and you're pretty miserable. Yeah. But if you stick with it and get up at the same time every day, each night you'll be able to fall asleep about 15 to 20 minutes earlier, and eventually your body will definitely kick back into a normal routine. So that's how you do it. If you keep going to sleep at 4 and getting up at 12, then your body says, hey, this is my normal. So that's up to you. That's something you have to think about. But there is definitely, shift workers do have options. So great question. Thank you so much, Georgia. Oof. There is there's actually a question about this REM sleep. Okay. Are they still getting REM sleep even if they go to sleep late?
Yes, you are still going to get your REM sleep. And that's the first thing that you will go into. If we are severely sleep deprived, REM will be the first thing that you get. Often people sometimes say to me, I don't dream. I'm not going into REM sleep. You are. You still are, you just don't remember it because our long-term memory is turned off and our short-term memory is still on. And that's why when you wake up, you can remember a dream and slowly it fades away as the day goes on. And so that's going to be the first thing that your body's going to go back to so that you're going to feel less fuzzy.
So atypical people like the sound engineer and me who have done shift work for so many years still can live productive, healthy lives. I mean, I feel pretty good.
You can,
I'm just a little different than other people in terms of my sleep habits. And I also always know that I can switch them by going back 15 minutes. And that's another thing people can do is if you typically get up at 11 and you want to make a change, get up at 10:45 the next day. Again, we're not big on like pushing people into cold pools. Right. We're into slow, steady steps, and you can change your life. And that's really what Straight Talk's all about, is living your best life. You have options and you can still get great sleep. Yes. Georgia, I mean, we're starting to run out of time, and there are a couple of things I want to ask you before we run out of time. Sleep is such a big topic, so I definitely think that perhaps that we didn't cover all the hygiene. I think perhaps we should do a part 2. So I hope in the new year we can set a date and do a part 2 and go through some more sleep hygiene. On that note, I'm curious, we're going into the holidays. What are you up to these days, Georgia? What's going on for you?
Well, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of filming of other DVD segments that we're going to be releasing. And so if there's any questions or comments or something that you would love for us to go through, I would love for you to send it in to Sandra so that we can put that into one of our special series topics.
So they can write to info@healthforanxietydepression.com. Or they can go on the website, anxiety-videos.com. And on the Facebook, Straight Talk with Sandra Reich, you can always let us know what you want to hear more about. Georgia, I'm working with you. We're partners in this business. It was supposed to be a DVD series about people getting anxiety treatment at home. And that's definitely still where we're going. We just filmed, I think, session 4.
Yes.
But why the specialty series? What's going on with that? Why are we doing that? Of course, I know the answer, but I want to make sure our listeners know the answer.
Right. Well, the lovely thing is that there's a lot of different facets that we wanted to go into because we saw people dealing with difficulties, and that causes you anxiety. So we wanted to help people live a better life. So things such as boundaries and consequences, parenting, dealing with depression, anger, different things that people deal with that let them learn how to live better. And so that's what the special series is for.
So I have 2 questions. Number 1, what are some of the upcoming topics on? I know we have a specialty on sleep.
We have a specialty on sleep.
I think we're starting something on parenting.
Yes.
And I know you have one that you're really excited to do.
We're also going to be dealing with depression. And I think that I'm seeing a lot of people that they're so depressed and they're worried about judgment and they would like to deal with this at home. And so we're dealing with a special series on how to deal with depression, and also good for supporting and other people that you know that are dealing with depression so that you can understand it better.
And I think after that, we talked about doing boundaries and consequences. So if you're not wanting to do a DVD series on anxiety per se, have a look at our specialty series. If you are having anxiety, my other question to you before we start to get to some last minute details is watching a DVD in your home, can it be compared to therapy, or is that really like a ridiculous comparison?
It's not a ridiculous comparison, but it is different. Therapy is very personalized. You are with someone else. This is more of a how-to training template that may not be specifically exactly what you need, but you take the pieces to it. In some ways, it's better than therapy in that you can rewatch something, you can re-listen to it.
True.
I have some people that will rewatch the video each time they have a panic attack, and they go through the techniques. So we're with them while they're going through this distress, and they find that very comforting. And it's nice. It's more affordable. It's with you. You can be comfortable. You don't have to leave and go anywhere.
That's really a good point. Like even our caller said that she wasn't doing the paced breathing, but she can go back to the DVD. I find even our clients are sometimes buying the DVDs too because they forget the sessions. So I wanted to ask you that because there is some stigma to coming into therapy, and that's really why we came up with the DVDs, in case you don't want to come in. But we're not saying not to seek out therapy.
So what's happening with you, Sandra? What's up next?
It's funny. I always say I've got this and that and this and that, but actually it's the time of year I'm going to take a little bit of a break and do some...
You take a break? I don't know you to take a break. You're always doing everything.
And I have to practice what I preach, right? You got to take some time for self-care. So I'm going to say, I hope our listeners are also going to take some time for self-care. We still got the show going on. As a matter of fact, we have a very exciting show next week. Shall I tell you a little bit about it?
Yes, tell me. What's the next show about?
I think you'll be really excited by this because the show is called The Courage of Evolvement, A Client's Perspective.
Oh, I love this idea. This is so wonderful.
Yeah, we have a client and she was open enough to share her journey. Her name is Olga Maneri-Asali. She is one of the most inspirational women I've ever met. You happen to know her.
Oh, she is absolutely amazing, filled with light, so open about her journey. And I think that if anyone wants to see the change that you can go to, this would be the show to listen to.
Yeah, it's always interesting. I mean, we're therapists, but it's always interesting to hear what a client has to say about their journey. how and what are the obstacles in therapy, and how do you find your way and your courage to get through it. So don't miss December 17th, Straight Talk with Sandra Reich.
I'll be marking it down.
Yeah. Georgia, I want to take this time seriously to wish you all the best for you and yours. Have happy holidays. To the listeners, I'm still going to be with you for the next few weeks, but how about an early happy holidays? We want you to live your best life. So this is Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. Keep your eyes on the stars, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reich. We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and we'll tune in again next Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. Now, go live your best life. Thanks again for listening to the preceding program, brought to you on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericahealth.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the preceding program are strictly those of the hosts or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.